Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing a lovely early 9 million serial, so roughly 1987, Rolex Oyster Perpetual Date 18078 with bark center links and bark bezel. Yellow gold, of course, 36 millimeters in diameter. You can see it is a traditionally sized date on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. The watch is reasonably slim at 12.3 millimeters with what was then the first generation sapphire crystal in the date series. A lug-to-lug, the watch measures two different ways. If you measure just the lugs, you get 43.6 millimeters, but if you include the solid end links of the President bracelet, you come up with a more substantial 47.2 millimeters across the wrist. The spacing between the lugs, if you should attempt a strap rather than the bracelet, it's going to be 20 millimeters. The bracelet, however, is part of the charm of this model. The difference, for example, between a standard 1977 to 1988 Rolex Date 18038 and the 1878 you see right here is actually this bark style bezel and bark style bracelet. It's a President bracelet, though the watch is nicknamed the Rolex President. It's formally the Date. The bracelet, however, is formally named the Rolex President bracelet. It's a bit more substantial than the 5-link Jubilee. It doesn't feel quite as fragile, but it also has a little bit more souplesse and comfort to it than the larger 3-link Oyster style sports bracelet. You can see that the removable links, then as always, fixed by screws, not pin sleeves, and the crown clasp, present and correct, for years renowned because it's so subtle. Only the crown lets you know where the demarcation between the two halves of the bracelet, that is the break point, actually lies. You use it as a sort of shim to pry the bracelet open, and you can see internally everything remains in excellent condition. All of the hallmarks as well as the maker's marks are still crisp. This has not been damaged or internally refinished in any way. And that largely goes for the rest of the watch, which seems remarkably whole, with most, if not all, of its original metal. You can see the bark pattern across the center links, and then you can see the contrast between the satin finished hoods of the lugs and the polished flanks, and that very sharp break between them, as well as the fact that the lugs are even from side to side, is a sign of just how well this case has aged. It's seen little, if any, refinishing, and that's to your advantage as a collector. You want all of the original definition and all of the original metal, and it is a graceful and handsome case shape. Rolex twin lock crown, screw down in yellow gold. That little slash in yellow gold lets you know you're looking at a Rolex twin lock crown, screw down with screw down case back, 100 meters water resistant. This generation of the Date 8 was the first to receive a sapphire crystal, and so that's present and correct, highly scratch resistant. Give ourselves a little bit more light here, and you can see the bark style of the bezel matching the bark style of the center links. It's a little bit chaotic, random. It's not the orderly stripes of the engine turned bezel. It's more like a rough cut of the engine-turned form. It's a bit more charming in my opinion, quirkier to be sure, but also less common, and the bark style Date 8s are heavily sought by collectors of emerging vintage Rolex. And that's really what this watch is. 1987 was a long time ago, and the watch features several vintage hallmarks. There's the bark style, there's the tritium dial, and you can see there's a sunburst golden dial that features a tritium lume dots outboard, and this is a lovely natural tritium fade, no faux tina here. This is the real deal. The original yellow gold indices, yellow gold hands, yellow gold Rolex coronet. You can see the open 6s and open 9s on the vintage style Date wheel, and then you've got the day up at 12 o'clock in the Date. This was a quick set, not a double quick set, so you can rapidly cycle the Date underneath that Cyclops eye. Underneath the case back, a sort of transitional caliber for a transitional Rolex reference, as this was the era of transition from vintage Rolex to modern Rolex. Well, you've got caliber 30, 55, 27 joules. It was the first high beat movement in a Date 8, 28,800 vibrations per hour. It brought along that quickset feature. Still a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, free sprung with an overcoil hairspring. It is a very accurate watch. It features stop seconds or hacking, and of course this is a watch that's new enough, though it is vintage and over 30 years old, it's new enough that after service with Rolex or a Rolex authorized service center, the watertight hermeticity of this one is still sufficient that you can use it for swimming. So it is a full feature watch. It's your everyday watch as well as your vintage watch, and that's a rare combination. 30 plus years is Verging on true vintage territory, and transitional era Rolex from the 1980s is becoming the next frontier of collectible Rolex. Get on board at ground level with the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Day-Date 18078 yellow gold with bark dial.